One really good way to take a chill off all this Texas heat is to give yourself a good scare. What better way to do that than come on down to the public library and check out a Stephen King book? After all, who could possibly be scarier than Stephen King?
Well, let's put it this way. I don't like subtlety. My real philosophy is let's beat this thing with a stick till it don't move no more.
In fact, Stephen King is so scary that he even scares himself.
You develop your imagination to a point, and it's like developing your trapezius muscles or anything else. I've worked for a long time to sharpen my imagination, so sure, sometimes I get cut. I'm the guy who holds the plane up, okay? If you fly with me, you're safe. On every plane, my theory is that there's one guy that keeps the plane from crashing. The only planes that crash are planes where there isn't a guy who's scared to death. That one scared person is holding the plane up, because I don't care what it says in all those books about how they can fly and it's physically possible. It's totally impossible for a 727 to fly. Anybody who's ever looked at one knows they can't get off the ground unless there's a very scared person to hold it up. I am that person. You're safe with me anywhere you go, because I am terrified for everybody.
What is the scariest thing you've ever thought of?
I check the kids every night, walking in some night and finding one of them dead in bed. Personally, for me, that's it, because I can't see beyond that point. When my imagination draws the curtain, that's the worst thing I can think of currently.
It's easy to believe that people simply aren't reading anymore, that books have already lost the battle for our short attention span to movies and television. But according to Stephen King, that simply isn't so.
Well, the figures say people are reading more than ever. I think that we've got probably the most literate, best educated generation of Americans, or generation or civilization of people right now that ever walked the face of the earth. The fact remains, though, that only 16% of the American population will say that they buy fiction. So that's a very, very, very small percentage. And every now and then somebody will ask me, what does it feel like to be famous? Writers are not famous people.
When you're writing, so many of your novels have been made into films, and
it's weird, isn't it?
it's all very weird.
It's all very weird to me.
Don't you become very conscious of the big screen and the possibility of movie rights and lots of money when you're writing?
Why would I even think about that? I got more money than I can spend. I don't think about anything. Graham Greene said something that's very, very true. He said a lot of things that are very, very true, but he said, writers write books they can't find on library shelves. And that's all I've ever done. I've always written for an audience of one, myself. A lot of times, you write things, I think, to find out how you feel. I had an English teacher once who told me, you don't know what you think about anything until you write down what you think. And I know that one of the impulses behind writing The Shining was, I was surprised to find that I had aggressive feelings about my children sometimes. I never felt like using one of their little bodies for an ashtray, but it happens. And so I wrote it down partly to find out what I thought about that. Well, I'll tell you what, we had a pretty good time considering we're all going to die, huh?
Actually, I think that's a good way to look at it. There's nothing wrong with looking at it
that's
like
right.
that. Seriously.
Listen, hey.
Well, obviously I'm not going to get a lot of sleep tonight between mad writers, killer cars, rabid dogs, and the man who eats. Well, I think I'll let you find that out for yourself. Pleasant dreams. This is Kenny Littlefield reporting at the Irving Public Library for About Town.